Beautiful.
We were live all the time, but
Yeah.
we're live. Yeah. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah, Dave and I were just talking about collaboration and harmony and being attuned to the Holy Spirit and just like, yeah, talking about the strawberry state of mind. That's kind of our backdrop, but yeah, it's so beautiful. We were just talking about music and but yeah, I was just sharing with you, David, too, that even before you did your live stream with the lesson and like just really sinking into a quiet presence or a quiet state of mind and then I was just realizing right before we went live that stillness and joy actually they are together, they're not found apart.
Yeah.
And because I feel strawberry to me is always, it's just a symbol of present moment joy, it's a symbol of spontaneity, but just to even I thought it's not apart. The stillness and the joy are actually together. Like they're in harmony together. And yeah.
Yeah. It's like we can merge. I just recently we had our 6.5 hour event and showed the movie Take Me Home, and one of my friends, Amanda from Spain, was writing in that she just was having these deep connection, euphoric feelings sometimes, just in some of the scenes in the movie, just showing the background mountains, the background green mountains. She just really kind of opened up and felt this merge of love just with the scenes with the background green mountains, and so yeah, Jesus talks about that at one point in the Course, where he says you can actually merge with anything. It could be anything in time and space. It could be a sight, a sound. It can be with anything. You can just give your mind over to completely merge with it and see that it literally is you in a mind sense, not in a personal sense, but there's like a merging, there's a letting go of all thoughts of specifics, of objects, of location, of time and place. And so what we're kind of calling the strawberry state of mind is that letting go of thinking in terms of particulars, and that's been all of our past conditioning, but it's just not serving anymore. We don't want to hold any kind of limits on our mind, and we don't want to perceive any limits in the world anymore. So it goes way outside the boxes and the categories of the world, because I think it does go to that place, that state of mind where there's not a desire for an outcome. You're not looking for things to be a certain way. That's been part of the fun of all the strawberries we have, is when it seems like there's even not a harmony in form. It's so easily to just drop back into that laughter and joy and giggling in the moment of, no, it's all perfect. I'm not even gonna go there anymore in my mind, that something needs to be different, or something or someone needs to change. And that was fun about all the collaborations we've had on the stage over the years. People showing up from all over the world and singing. I remember Emily, the first time I talked to her, I met her in a castle in Ireland, and she said, I just don't feel to continue on with school and this training that I've been doing, and I need something completely new. And I said, well, just come to Strawberry and just sing, and that seemed to open up her heart and open up all kinds of doorways, just from the invitation and saying yes to the invitation, because it's inside of us, it's within us. It's not really to be found in something in specifics, but it, when we follow our heart, when we follow what we really, really would do above anything else in the moment, with no reservations or nothing holding us back, then yeah, it's so joyful. And it's very still too, like you said. It's joyful and still, and we recognize that, like, oh yeah, this feels natural.
Yeah. Yeah, what you were sharing earlier too, like it's finding the harmony together and then feeling everything is so effortless and you're so being done through and there's
Yeah,
or even the being done through, like I don't even know if you can even say that in the moment. Like it's
yeah,
just this experience of yeah, I don't know, like even the vastness, we keep referring back to the vastness of the canyon being a symbol of the vastness of mind and every time we talk about strawberry now, I think what we talk about is not an event. We're talking about a state of mind that has no limitations. It doesn't want limits. It wants to break out of any patterns or structures in the mind that are keeping it
yeah,
in some kind of limited um, space. But the mind isn't limited, it's vast and it's expansive. And that's what we want to
yeah,
feel, like that vastness and the heart opening up. Even right before we were meeting for the live, my heart started to open up because I got in touch with the intention and the purpose for even this. It's about the holy encounter and it's about feeling that worthiness. We're so worthy of feeling that deep connection and that love, and we don't have to do anything for it, and we don't have to be a certain way. We come as you are. And we were talking a little bit about song lyrics too, and
yeah,
it's funny because right before we met, I was all these song lyrics were coming to me, and one of them is "Come as You Are." It was from the Echo song that came through last year, right
yeah,
before
yeah,
Strawberry, and just different song lyrics like from Eric, that you love me no matter what I do. There's a song I love so much. It's called Communion, where it says, I don't have to prove anything. You've already approved of me. Like it's these lyrics that, but I don't know, when we talk about that worthiness and the intention that's in the mind of coming together, like that's everything. Like it's just one holy encounter can just completely change the trajectory of your mind. Like it's,
yeah,
yeah, it's life changing. Like not the event. Like again, it's
yeah,
not the event, but it's the purpose in our mind and what are we using it for moment by moment. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's it. It's like Jesus teaches us: seek not outside yourself, for it will fail, and you will weep each time an idol falls. And then at one point he says in the course, you cannot relate to your brothers with anything external. And that's like, okay, that's an interesting line. And then at one point he even goes on to say, the body is outside you, but it seems to surround you, shutting you off from others. So okay, you can't relate with your brothers with anything external. The body is outside you, but it seems to surround you. It's like it takes us into such a deep way of relating that is so internal that it's truly like we are relating with ourself. We are relating with our true self, and we are in harmony with our true self. And then in that, then everything that's reflected in perception is just a reflection of that inner harmony. It's not coming from things going a certain way or things happening a certain way, a certain form. It just is the undoing of everything. It's Jesus is teaching us little by little that that a miracle is our inheritance, and that miracles are natural, and that miracles, show us the way and lead to the light and to the vision, to revelation. But he he talks about revelation, which is direct experience of God, direct experience of light, and he says it's sometimes sought for in interpersonal relationships, but he's saying it's not there. It's sought for in interpersonal relationships, but the light, the revelatory light, is coming from God to our mind. It's not coming from our mind to God. It's coming. It's a one-way direction from God, revealing, extending light, and and so in one sense, yeah, that's a whole different way of approaching everything when you start to really tune in internally and face any thoughts of unworthiness or any fears or any doubts, any hesitations. You start to, it gets to be more, you're more sensitized. You're more sensitized to those small little times where there's a little, even discomfort. You start to really pause and say, okay, pause here and let's see what I want, the harmony. I want to come back into that harmony and but it's so opposite of the way that the world works. You know, we were talking about the last night, the Super Bowl and all the stimuli and all the images and everything, and yet there was a way of connecting with this inner joy and inner harmony where it didn't matter about the sights or the sounds or how loud the sounds were, or there was no attempt to analyze the images because it got to be with all these Super Bowl images and then all these Mexican advertisements flashing in there that it just got to be funnier and funnier and almost more like it's ridiculous to even try to interpret
Yeah.
the world, which really that was like the value of the whole thing was the lightness and the laughter, not trying to take anything serious, you know, and yeah, I think that is the harmony. Harmony just does not take this world seriously at all.
Yeah, yeah. I keep thinking too about last year, the last day of the festival, the power went out. It was the last session. It was the dance party, which was the session where we like the loudest, the most music. Okay, here we go, all out. Poof, all the power went out. We were like, huh. But it was so beautiful to see. It's like exactly what you're talking about. It's not about what's happening on the screen. It's about our state of mind because everybody was pretty relaxed. It was like, okay, now what? Like this, it
Yeah,
just felt like a little joke from Jesus. Like,
yeah,
okay, we're in our dance party. This is our, yay, like all that. And it was just amazing to see how, I don't know, everything got orchestrated. Some people felt activated, some were more in prayer, and it was just, and all the participants were totally relaxed. It was like there's nothing to get hung about. Like, it just really felt like that. It actually felt like a gift that it
yeah,
happened because it was like a just like an opportunity of like, yeah, this it's the experience. Because I was thinking too, yeah, it's like, how do you even talk about, you can talk about this experience, but it's so much beyond the words. I feel like I find it hard to sometimes explain it, but when you're in it,
yeah,
there's, there's no explanation needed either, but
yeah,
it's just this experience of like, okay, we're just watching them like last night with the Super Bowl. I think that was the fun. It was like the script is written, we're not invested in anything, and it was just a blast. But
yeah.
yeah.
That's it. And I do remember that time at Strawberry because everyone was just smiling and looking at each other, like okay, and then I think there were a few people that scurried and said something like, "There's a generator on the property, and just let's get some cords." And we were all like, "Okay, well, maybe," you know. But nobody had like a strong expectation that something needed to happen or something was wrong. And I find that, you know, even with what the world calls natural disasters, upon the initial reaction with a lot of people, then they find themselves drawn together in a sense of wanting to connect and be helpful with whether it's a flood or a fire or a hurricane or some storm or something. When people are taken out of their rituals, we'll call them, which they seem to be identified as their daily life, there's a little crack of an opening for something new, and the light just seems to stream naturally into that something new.
Mm.
Where even when children are into the ritual of going to school every day, and then suddenly there's a snow day, and it's not expected, it's not predicted, and then all of a sudden they're in an out of pattern miraculous experience, like, oh, I'm going to call so and so, let's go make a snowman, let's go sledding, let's do something that was not even considered, suddenly is there through this crack of the miracle.
Mm.
And the thing about it is, we want to just live that always, just to live in that space of not knowing about the world, but feeling willing and ready and open for that harmony to just extend itself,
Mm.
and as a way of life, as a step of that's in harmony with life itself, with God.
Mm.
So it's so different from the world because it's not on the timeline, and it doesn't really involve goals and objectives, future goals and objective. It's because that's more just a projection of the past, and this is more of a letting go of the past and really dropping into the moment, and the
Mm.
joy and excitement of that, the harmony of that. So it seems like to the world it's almost like a mysterious secret or something, but then the more you drop into it, it's not mysterious at all, and it doesn't feel like a secret. It just feels like the most natural experience there could be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like this source of unlimited bubbly joy. That's what I got in touch with again yesterday too. It was like, oh, it's not about what's happening on the screen, but there's some kind of bubbling joy, like
Yeah,
this endless supply. That's what I kept hearing in my mind. There's an endless supply, and even yeah, that line in the course where Jesus says he can perform miracles indiscriminately. It's like, oh, what does that mean? Like
yeah,
that
indiscriminately.
that's in my mind. Like that's what that yeah, there's something there that just really inspires, and I think that's why I came those years ago in 2018. It was like I felt something in my mind like, hey, there's something available here that I had little glimpses of, but I want to just discover this. It's like a discovery,
Yeah,
and I truly feel that because I feel like I know last year your Gita was at the monastery, and she's such a beautiful mystic. She was just out there in the grass and just having this beautiful mystical silent experience, and it was so beautiful, and others were just bubbling with joy and more outgoing and dancing, and but there's space for all of that, like, and I
yeah,
feel like that's in the mind. There's space for all of that, whatever is helpful in the moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's it. It's like a space for all of it. All is welcome. All is appreciated, and it's like there's the sameness is accentuated. Not any sense of differences. The mind is just not going there. It's not looking for differences, and therefore it's not looking for comparison. It's not looking for judgment. It's not looking for all those things that seem common to the ego, but really are
Mm.
not that harmony at all. The judgment and comparison, block out the awareness of the harmony. So I like that. Over the years too, there's just so many different people and different styles of voices and styles of songs, and lots of humor with it. And sometimes people come with ability to play or use many instruments, and sometimes a cappella. And it just doesn't have a pattern to it. But it's like we always say, pray, listen, and follow. It's an unfolding and a beholding, like we're beholding whatever is there in a very full way, but not to try to organize it or structure it in
Mm.
any way. I think the sleeping mind is just terrified of the spontaneity and the harmony that it just as a habit. It's just like a habit, egoic habit of trying to structure things. Like Jesus says, lesson 13, a meaningless world engenders fear. He's he's really helping us get in touch with that meaninglessness is the greatest fear of the sleeping mind.
Mm.
And then the ego tries to rush in with putting meaning onto a meaningless world. And it does so in terms of rituals and structure. Somebody today wrote to me asking for help on Messenger, Facebook Messenger, just about a neighbor, and she's gone too far now, and she's cutting off the I think it was the water, and it was all this like a feud with a neighbor. Like, what do I do? But in the end, she said, it seems like the only thing I did to provoke my neighbor was doing a meditation ritual. And then I thought of those two words, meditation, ritual. As soon as we get attached to a form, even meditation rituals, then something could get triggered. Because true meditation is a deep harmony and alignment with spirit. It doesn't really have a form. It doesn't have to look in any particular way. It's actually letting go of thinking about the form, of how it has to be and how it has to look. And I find in that state, it's a natural state of mind of love, where there are no defenses. There's nothing that can oppose. Love is a law without an opposite. That's what we're opening to, is that vast love that doesn't, it can't be blocked. It has no opposite. It can't. It has nothing opposing it whatsoever, and it doesn't oppose. So that's how beautiful, It's acceptance. Yeah.
It's like going full circle. It's like truth is simple. Like there's no complexity in it. Like there's a simplicity that's there, and just like come as you are. I thought about the Quantum Love song, like dare to let it in, dare to let it be, dare to allow to be given everything. Like
Yeah.
that's the experience of it. And I feel that with the festival. Like I think that's why I'm probably always feeling such a spark with it, because it's such a symbol of the spontaneity, and it's such an invitation to everyone who's involved in any way, like, or even just listening to this. It doesn't matter. It's not about the form. It's just being connected in the mind of that spontaneity and that bubbly joy, and yet not forgetting that truth is simple. It's very simple.
Yeah.
And in the simplicity, that's where the joy is. It's not in the complexity of the ego, or even the excitement about like a future something, because that's something that I feel like that's been a washing, the excitement. But is that really the spirit, or is there that peace? Because peace and joy go together, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's actually what we really want, just that peace and joy going together, and being in that experience of it. And like you said, the miracle cuts through. Like it's something so out of pattern. It just is, I don't know, opposite. This might not be even the right word, but it's so beyond the structure. It's like a miraculous state of mind, a miraculous life is what we want. Like that's what I want. Like, and I know that's what we all want. Like that's what we're ultimately wanting to wake up through, is through the miracles, and just feeling the love that inspires the miracles. And I feel that, like, that's what the mind is afraid of. Like you said, because I thought about the Princess and the Pea with the mattresses, and when you said, like, yeah, it becomes less and less tolerable. Even the little upsets become, but that's not a bad thing if you get to that point of actually, because it's almost like the P is down there anyway. The belief is down there. So if you're starting to, it's like taking the mattresses away or something, but ultimately it's to release it and to be in that joy. And
It seems like we're just at that point now where we're just completely letting go of everything. Like, the structures of, I know when I traveled a lot, extensively, where I was just traveling and doing multiple gatherings each day and place to place, and everything was just whirring by like a big fast blur. It was very spontaneous, and there wasn't very much structure. There was communication, like prayer, and okay, I'm coming here next, or I'm coming here or there. There was a little bit of that, very light, but it was a very light communication that way. And we've done, as a community, we've done lots of events, we've done lots of travels and things, and the key for us was, even when the inspiration would come in for it, we would just let it come through, start to work with it in the joy of the moment, in that inspiration feeling. But we couldn't really put it on a timeline without making the error real. So we had to keep it lighthearted. I remember there were times where I was doing these huge 500-person Course in Miracles conferences. It started off, sometimes they were every other year even. It kind of then changed for a while for every year, but every other year, I remember at the conclusion of a festival, like 2 days would pass after this massive conference of 500 people, and then the organizer would send me an email and say, can I count on you and then give me a date 2 years in advance. And I always thought, oh my God. And then I would just have to pray, and I would either hear a yes or no. But I would oftentimes hear yes, and then I would have to immediately forget about it. I would have to send back the yes and then let it go from my mind for 2 years until the time approached, and I was happily surprised to find myself speaking to a crowd or whatever, but I couldn't hold it in mind. And I think that's a little bit like we've talked about with this Strawberry Fields Festival. Seems like it could be our last kind of festival in that way, the way that it has been structured in terms of time and place, location, and all kinds of things. And the same with the Mystery School. There have been a lot of those. They've been very, very helpful, but it just takes a lot of planning and communication around a lot of logistics, and I don't think that our mind is moving in that direction. Like there's a part in the Course where he's talking about this glorious state of mind, and then he goes on for a few sentences and paragraphs, and then he says, but what could this mean to one who still counts the hours and days? It's just saying, even if you have a calendar and you count the hours and the days, it's still that's not the fullness of it. I mean, I had sometimes, I think a week or two ago, I woke up, and first when I opened my eyes, I had a tune in my mind from some kind of a classic tune that I always loved. And then there was new lyrics coming, and I thought, I should just jump in the car and go over with Helena and Eric and just spend a few hours. That's the feeling of it, because it's very spontaneous, and there seems to be a tune in there, and then there seems to be lyrics coming with it, and then the mind will go, look at the calendar. It's like the eyes go to the calendar. Like even today, I've had so many messages just this morning from the admin team saying we can't get into this thing without a code sent to your phone. There will come a time when there won't be phones. I can feel it already. It's coming. And then, okay, got it, great, thank you. And then another one came in, there's a form that you need to fill out. It's for this and this. I can help you with that. We need to set a time and okay. Oh, wow, because we've got a call coming up with Japan later today, and there's like a house meeting, and it's just like, floop, floop, floop. It can fill up very, very quickly. In a matter of an hour, it can just go pink, 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 like popcorn, just pop, 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 and you've got a whole bowl of popcorn before where you had nothing. But I do feel the direction that after these kind of main events, I've got a trip to Japan. We've got a big online thing coming, March 1st and 2nd, and then we've got Strawberry Festival and Mystery School. But I actually feel there's a time coming where it's going to be so spontaneous, so intuitive, so off the calendar, so away from organization and schedules. It's just a natural flowering and movement that is just the most natural thing. I know, because I've had different times when I've gone off to hermitages and everything, and that's been exactly it. I don't have any communication devices. Sometimes I'm in a cottage out in the woods or far, far away from connections of any kind, phones or internet, and then the day just unfolds. It doesn't even have to be in a woods. I've had times when I've been roommates with a couple cats, and we didn't speak verbally. They would just make meow sounds, and I would make them back to them, and we would have a lot of eye contact and a lot of meow sounds going on, but really no words. We really agreed, to leave the words out of it because the cats were not into the words, and I said I want the connection more than the words. So it was long stretches of time just being there with the cats and being very intuitive and loving and cozy and warm and very very expansive and flowing, but not a lot of words. It was really losing track of time completely. I remember too though, because I would think, is there anything at all that I need to pay attention to? And it was that there was way out on the street, there was the garbage trucks that would come and take the garbage once a week, but I would lose track of the days, so I couldn't even think of that. So I had to make one little note on the kitchen counter, and I would put it in marker, garbage day, but then I would hide it in the like drawer, and then I would be flowing, 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 and then I would get an intuitive prompt, bring the sign out, and I would put the sign there, and then that would remind me that day intuitively to collect all the trash and kitty litter, empty the kitty litter out, and then that was my one thing in the week that I had to remember. And it really was good because it was really going beyond the thoughts of time. I lost track of the days of the week. And then the more weeks I did this with the cats, and the more months that I did this, then I really started to lose track of the year too. And I remember when 9/11 happened and the Twin Towers came down and everybody was like, all these shock waves were going around the world. There were people that were camping in like parks, like national parks that were way, way, way out, and they had no communication. And they would be found sometimes weeks or even months after the event, but they were so into nature and so disconnected from, we'll say, the grid and everything, that when the rescuers, they called themselves rescuers because these people weren't wanting to be rescued even, but they would come and they would say, there's been a terrible event, and the people would go, what? They weren't even aware of it, even though everyone connected to the grid couldn't stop talking about it, like non-stop, 24/7. These people had no awareness there was even such an event. And it did remind me when I did a lot of travels, I was so immersed in traveling and speaking that while I was traveling, sometimes wars seemingly would break out in different regions and parts of the world. But I would just go to give a talk, and they would say, what do we do with this war? And it was the first time that I was hearing of it, of the specific war in the gathering, because my mind was so in the miracle and so expanded, so carried and floating with that. It was very abstract that there wasn't even, sometimes if I was to speak about a particular topic, Jesus would guide me into like a TV store, and I'd like walk through it in 5 minutes and hear bits and pieces of things on the televisions as I was walking by, and then that night it would come into the talk. Jesus would like scoop it up like stardust and then throw out a little stardust at the gathering, but it didn't really, it wasn't preoccupying my mind at all. My mind really wasn't there. And I think that's the thing even with relationships, we have to get to that point where we allow ourselves to go that much into the harmony, that much into what is the intuitive flow, and that much away from schedules and away from structures, because that's where the mind can like soar into the ethers, where it truly is free, is in that intuitive expansiveness, not in trying to get something right in form, or constantly bouncing things off of You know, what do you want to do? What do you want to, you know, it's not to be found at that level. It's
Mm.
more of an expansiveness. It reminds me of that movie that we prayed on and decided to show, Echoes of the Canyon, because, you know, Crosby, Stills and Nash and Peter, Paul and Mary and all the mamas and the papas, and it just goes down the line to Beach Boys and on and on and on. It's like they were in this state of mind where they were so into the music. It was such a focus, the harmonies and the music, that they let that be the priority. And then where their bodies would move was very orchestrated by the spirit. I feel they would just
Mm.
drop off, sometimes bring an instrument, drop off at somebody's house, living room. Oh, wow, yeah, come on in. Just a knock at the door. There wasn't scheduling at all. It was just flowing, go visit so and so. There was a lot of visiting going on and a lot of just spontaneous knocks at the door. And I think even that's a good symbol about having a structured meeting time versus just going up to someone's house and just knocking on the door with your guitar or your drum set, you know, and then going into that. Very playful, like children often play that way. They
Yeah.
just, it's very spontaneous. They're not
Yeah.
trying to schedule meeting times to play. They're just looking for opportunities. You want to play with me? You want to play? They just go and they knock on the door, even if their parents say, you know, you should. Did you call ahead of time? No, no, but I want to play. Shh, no, it takes over. It's very joyful because
Mm.
it's not structured. So I do feel in a sense that that's why when we're saying come to this strawberry state of mind, it's an invitation to a way of being, and those that have come like Jagita, you know, they they come in that state to just connect in that state of mind. They don't really see it as an event because they know that it would be
Yeah.
painful because events end. But,
Yeah.
but this doesn't. The strawberry state of mind, you know, nothing to get hung about. It
Yeah.
just goes on and on forever and ever. That's why it's strawberry fields forever. It's the forever word's even there. It's
Mm.
so joyful and so intimate and so connected.
Mm.
So it's kind of exciting. I mean, if Jesus said, "Well, here I'm going to give you a few last little opportunities for your hurrah of giving your heart fully and extending and feeling the joy and the lightness and the love and the laughter, and then you'll just go even deeper into it after that. But you won't be scheduling uh, anything at all, really. I feel like that's not going to serve us. It's already a bit of a stretch. You know, it's a practice, you know, to have seemingly an event. But then you go into the place of, now, I'm not in charge of the outcomes. I cannot control this. I am not responsible for this. I am not responsible for organizing this. You know, you can start to feel right away the freedom comes just from letting go of those thoughts. And
Mm.
you know, you get to practice that and know you have those experiences where it's like glee and joy come. You say, oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
beyond me as a person.
Yeah. I feel it because the heart opens up so much, and yeah, even joining with Anna too and the team and everyone who's involved, it's like the heart opens up, and when we let go of any idea of organization or scheduling, it's like also my mind goes like, I want everybody to come. The organizing part would put it's like, no, I feel like, no, I want my heart to just burst wide open with this. I don't want to put a limit on it. Jesus is in charge. And
Yeah,
I just feel everything you're just sharing, David. It's like, it's just the most natural thing the mind is moving into. So what else can happen and that's actually being reflected? Like it's almost like the in and out is not separate. So I can feel everything you're sharing. Like when the mind wants to go more into the spontaneity and the simultaneity, it's like it's the planning becomes actually almost impossible. It's like, so it feels like this is a natural I don't know, progression maybe. I don't know how to say it, but it's like this is where we're naturally moving into as we let go of the world and come into that simply do this, be still and lay aside all thoughts. Like I've been just listening to that every morning, and it's like
Yeah.
it's the most important thing, and it's feeling very natural. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful because we have even talked with our Strawberry Mystery School, but now we have this donated house in Japan, and all of these seemingly eager little lambkins that are just ready to just burst open at the seams, and they're into spontaneity and music, and they're into joy, and they're into going fully too. They're like saying, "Yeah, I join you in that. I want to leave all else behind."
Mm.
And so it just seems like, of course, the opportunities to keep expanding into this and giving the gift away. Just showing up clueless and carefree, and yet feeling very cared for by the Spirit. So there's no worries or concerns with it, but it's quite a joyful adventure that way, and it's not trying to structure the form. Uh, People can say, well, you still, have to buy airline tickets, and you still have to, maybe do a visa on whatever the country requires, but even that, it's like it's just momentary. You could do that and be there for 2 weeks and go, no, it's time for me to go, and there, that is truly letting go of the plans, and I feel like all of us are really fully supported in that. With the events that seem to be on our calendars, there's that intuitive love and support. Like, I'll show you the way, and open your heart. Just keep opening your heart. That's all it's about. It's not about achieving anything. It's not about accomplishing anything. There are no better outcomes or worse outcomes. That's all out the window. And so I like that. I actually have always enjoyed that way of living. It's like you're living outside the box. Whatever, you don't even care what the box is, and it doesn't matter if people even say, "Well, what about this and what about this?" Because it's like that it's not about any of those considerations anyway. There's something in your heart that knows it's just vastness and expansiveness. And
Mm.
yeah, I just had a call. I had a pretty long day yesterday with the Super Bowl party and everything, but then I got back and it was like 9 something at night here. But then Bing Lisa came on green on Messenger, and I was like, haven't had a nice holy encounter there. So we had a vast kind of joining. I didn't even know how long it went on, but before I went to sleep, and it was beautiful because it was the same kind of thing. Just there's a few symbols that are sprinkled around, but the feeling is the vastness. The feeling is just the joy, the happiness, the gratitude, the thankfulness that's there, and that we can rejoice in. It's always there to rejoice in. And and then there's not a focus on the other stuff. It's just it's just a backdrop.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Oh, thank you, David. What a joy to connect.
It is. It's
Mm.
truly a holy feeling. It's like a very sacred
Mm.
feeling to just come together with no outcomes, no agendas. Wow, what a great way to live without any kind of agendas. That is the true freedom when we just come together. That's what makes it a holy encounter, is that there's no agendas from the past or the future that can encroach upon the light of
Mm.
right here and right now, and the intimacy of that, and the
Mm.
joy and the connection. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Uh,
Well, yeah. heartfelt invitation to anyone who wants to come. And
I
we're just offering camping. That came in spontaneously too.
know.
I know
Even
we
that.
both had the thoughts. You mentioned it, and I was thinking about it. I think this camping actually might be happening. So we have
Yeah.
some limited spaces available at the monastery,
Yeah.
and
Simple camping too.
simple. We're calling it simple, self-sufficient camping.
Nice. Oh, that's fun. That's exciting.
So
That right away will touch some people's hearts. Like, what?
yeah,
What did they say?
camping under the stars is beautiful out there in the canyon, and there's an early bird until Friday. I just want to mention that for those who are kind of thinking of registering, that's available through Friday, Valentine's Day.
Yeah, give yourself a Valentine's Day gift.
Yes, yes,
Unconditional, momentary love from the spirit. That's the
yes,
ultimate Valentine's gift.
yeah. It's a beautiful symbol.
It
Yeah,
is. It
yeah,
is.
yeah. Oh, okay. Well,
Beautiful.
thank you.
Thank you.
Lots of
Thank
love.
you all. Thank
Thank
you all for
you.
joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.